What's up, everybody? Good evening, and it's time to finish what I started a little bit earlier today. We're looking at defensive linemen in the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft, and we did the top three last time, so let's do the next three now. The other three defensive linemen currently projected to go in the first round according to the NFL Mock Draft Database. So we're going to start. Let's just go ahead and jump right in here. We're going to start with Tyleik Williams, and this is a player that I kept an eye on quite a bit last year because it was certainly possible that he declared for the draft last year. He did not, but he figures to be one of the big players in college football this year. Bigger guy, 330 pounds or so, could definitely play a little bit of nose tackle in the NFL. Last year was kind of a breakout year for him in the sense that he played a lot more than he had in previous years. Had 10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, which technically he had more in 2021, but he played a lot more in 2023, and he showcased a little bit more of the well-rounded player that he could be in the NFL. Got a lot of power and strength in his game. Really good ability to knock back offensive linemen. Really good ability to use his force to force offensive linemen into the backfield. So very powerful player. He can occupy and stress double teams. If you double team him, he's still going to hold his ground and maybe even disrupt the double team. He's got very heavy hands, which he uses very well to get that knockback force on offensive linemen. Good stack and shed player. He understands how to get on a blocker, get his hands out in front of him, and then shed the blocker when it's time. So there's a lot to like about those elements of his game. He's an active, high-effort player at all times. At Ohio State, he does play a few different roles. He can play one tech, he can play three tech. So you're going to get somebody who can contribute against the run, can contribute against the pass. He's going to be good at collapsing the pocket. He's going to be good at holding ground in the middle against the run. So there's a lot to like there. Now, like a lot of these college players, he doesn't really play with leverage yet. He plays standing straight up. Got to learn how to sink the hips. He doesn't have a variety of pass rush moves yet. His pass rush is basically just bull rush or collapse the pocket with his strength, which, hey, that's great and everything. But you got to advance a little bit more beyond that. And while he has very heavy hands, his punch timing and his ability to actually use his hands skillfully, not totally there yet. So this is going to be a big year for him. He's on an Ohio State team that has obviously lost a little bit on defense from last year, so he's going to be an even more featured point of that Ohio State Buckeyes defense, and he needs to show that he can advance beyond what he just did last year. He's definitely a player that currently you would assume ends up going in the first round if he can keep it up. So Tyleik Williams would be the first of the three players we're looking at in this video. Let's look at more. Kenneth Grant, another Michigan player. So for those of you counting at home, there are two Michigan defensive linemen in the top 32, or well, actually top 30 of this big board. So they should continue to be good this year. This is another big guy. This is a, potentially anyway, a nose tackle type. This is a guy who is 330 plus. I think he might be 340 plus even. So the things with him to keep in mind, very skilled hand technician, really good at timing his punches, really good at using his hands to take control of the rep from an offensive lineman. So his hand usage is already there. He can play one tech or three tech and contribute positively in both areas. So if you want him to stuff the run, he can do that. If you want him to try to generate push and generate some pass rush, he can do that. He's really good at collapsing the pocket with his power, really good at just driving offensive linemen into the backfield and taking control of the rep with his power. But he's also got a very quick first step. He, for a guy his size, is surprisingly quick and can shoot gaps using his quickness. He stresses offensive linemen a lot because they have to engage with him, latch onto him so quickly, or else he'll just shoot right past them. He already has a pretty good set of pass rush moves. He's got counters. He's got things that he can throw at offensive linemen beyond just, I'll run past you or I'll run through you. He's actually got some up and unders. He's got some swim moves. He's got some spin moves. It's a real pass rush move set. And for a guy his size, again, this is a guy who's borderline nose tackle size. He moves very well in space. He moves well laterally. So he's not going to be restricted by the typical issues that you will find with these 340, 350 pounds guys most of the time. He can hold his ground against double teams as well. Got a good amount of strength. His stack and shed game is good. So there's a lot I'm into with Kenneth Grant. The main issue with him is, I mean, you take a look at what he's done so far in college, it's not that much. He's playing in a very, very tight rotation at Michigan last year, didn't contribute big numbers. So he needs to prove that he can play more. He needs to prove that he can be a full-time player, and he needs to prove that he has the endurance to handle pro football. He does also kind of play standing straight up. He does play without leverage, needs to learn how to sink his hips. I feel like I say that about 80% of these defensive linemen that go through the college process, though, so he's in good company there, I guess you could say. So there's, I like Kenneth Grant quite a bit. Very interesting player. Another one of these really, really big, but really, really skilled defensive linemen that I I think are going to provide some surprising amounts of athletic prowess and ability when they get to the NFL. So just one more guy for this video. It's going to be Landon Jackson of the Arkansas Razorbacks. This one's a little bit different. Landon Jackson has there's a big difference between him and the last two guys we just looked at. He is much smaller, and he's much more likely to end up as an edge rusher rather than a defensive lineman. Tyleik Williams and Kenneth Grant were both somewhere around 330, 340. Landon Jackson is listed at 260. I think he might be more like 265, 270 now, but it doesn't matter. That's still a huge difference. And he might end up being a full-time edge player when he gets to the NFL. We'll see what he does this year, but he's been building up his success over the last 2 years for Arkansas. Last year, really nice season, 13.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. Big year for him incoming. He should be able to fit into any defense in some role. You can play an even front, you can play an odd front, you can play all kinds of different roles, all kinds of different schemes up front, and Landon Jackson should be able to fit in. I think that in a 3-4, you should definitely be looking at him as like a down lineman, a defensive end, like a Shelby Harris type. I could see that working. And in the 4-3, I wonder if he might be like a 5 tech or a big edge, somebody who isn't a pure speed guy off the edge, but is providing like run defense and size. Maximum effort at all times from this guy. He's got strong hands, really good arm length. His arms are really long for his size. Nice combination of strength and athletic prowess. He's able to win when he reduces inside. Like, he kind of does the Michael Bennett thing where he'll slide to the inside for passing downs. And he can hold up with his strength, and he can win with his athletic prowess. So there's a little bit of that going on there. He's got a good set of pass rush moves. He doesn't just win with pure athletic ability. He does win with his pass rush moves. He's another guy who struggles with leverage. Another guy who does need to understand how to get low, be the low man. And he's not a great open space mover. Tends to get a little bit... It's hard for him to change direction, it feels like. He doesn't change direction naturally. And I do wonder if he's a little bit undersized for the NFL interior work. I do wonder if he's meant to be a pure edge rusher in the NFL, maybe with like the Michael Bennett role of being able to slide inside on occasion. Maybe. All right, that's it for the defensive linemen. So we're going to go through these last few positions, hopefully before the season starts. You can see that we don't really have that much more to get through. And we've gone through now the most powerful positions in this particular draft. So there will be a little bit less to get through, but we will get through them. I think we're going to do like 4 more videos on this, and then we are locked in for the season. Let me know what you think about these guys. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. That is a look at the defensive linemen in 2025.